welcome to the weekly check-in for Ditching Diets and Die. And I realized I didn't really tell anyone or promote that I was going live, even though it's the same time, same place, and I'm new at this. That is all part of the game. But I want to say thank you if you are joining me or watching the replay. And I've got a few things I want to tell you about this week. And one involves a shopping trip that I took right after I shared on here last week that I needed to buy some new clothes for the fall and honor where my body is right now. And it kind of went well, but not so well. So I'm going to share that today. The other thing is I'd like to share some updates around my hair and some of the challenges that I have actually been having with it. And the ugly thing this week that I'm going to share is was a almost meltdown. And so I'm going to get into all of that. Now, if we have not met, my name is Kat, and Ditching Diets and Die is all about my personal journey to stop fighting my body and to start trusting it instead. So if you are here, I'd love for you to say hi. And if you are watching the replay and you are new to this channel, please say hello in the comments and introduce yourself. So let's start off with talking about the good. So when it comes to the good this week, there's a few things. Now, one of the good things is that I'm actually really loving the way that my hair is growing out. So I am pretty impressed with the color, and I kind of like this grombre effect. And I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm not sure if I am going to still be enjoying this the same way when it's, let's say, this far down or this far down. I'm not sure. It's going to be a tough slog. And something I shared in a video that I released earlier this week is that I got out a ruler. I literally took a ruler to my head, and it looks like it's going to be 2 more years. Actually, I was going to tell you that in the bad, because that's the part I am not looking forward to. But right now, I am in a happy place when it comes to how my gray hair is coming out. And I feel like I made the right decision. Now, the other thing that is the good this week. So last week I shared that one of the things I was not so thrilled with after ditching diets for a number of months now is that I have noticed a change with how my clothes are fitting. And some of my clothes are not fitting well. And that's a bummer. That's just the honest truth. However, I'm still committed to quitting dieting because the benefits do outweigh the weight gain. So what I did is went out shopping on Saturday, and I don't love shopping at the best of times. However, in one of the first stores I went into, I was able to find 2 pairs of jeans that feel good on me. Yes, I love that feeling. Let me know if you love that feeling too, of just when you find something and it fits and it's the first store of your shopping trip, especially right now when you have to wear a mask into the store and it's not the best shopping experience. But I was able to find them, and that is exciting, and I feel good. And I did do a little test because I don't always trust new jeans. I wore them in the house for a little while with all the tags and the sticker on just to make sure they didn't stretch too big and I didn't regret my purchase. Now, the other thing that is a plus this week is that I have sort of reconnected my mindset to exercise in a way that feels really good. So last week I shared that I was struggling a bit to find where does where does exercise fit in with what I'm doing on kind of rejecting the diet mentality? Because I know that there's exercise for your health and it's so, so important. And I know I need to do it. But I was struggling to fall into a trap of feeling like I was exercising as a way to change my body because I didn't want that to be my intent. And while my intent is health, when you've got decades of diet culture that are hanging out with you, it can be so hard to disconnect those things and to feel like if I'm exercising, am I just another way of figuring out how to change my body aesthetically? And what I did this week is I really focused on thinking about exercise as all the benefits of how it makes me feel like a better human being. So I actually did a show this week on my other channel, My Happy Insides, that was all about getting unstuck when it comes to exercise. And that one of the roadblocks that people often face with exercise is that they are afraid that maybe they're upholding harmful standards or that it's selfish or vain to be working on your physical body when you're exercising because your body can change when you exercise. And then some people, that's the only reason they do it. Now, the benefits of my energy levels and how I feel in my mental health and just that feeling after a really great workout, those are all amazing things. And I miss having them more regularly. And so I'm actually just excited to get back into that and also feel those feelings of accomplishment when things go well. And I see that JV, you have joined. Hello, good afternoon to you too. I'm so glad that you could come here live and join me for my weekly check-in. So yes, the good around exercise, I feel like I'm in a good place. The challenge is that I'm finding myself wanting to sort of track my exercise in a certain way. For example, I have a Garmin watch that can track when I'm on my bike, both indoors and outdoors. It can also track when I'm outside doing jogs or walking. And I do like to see progress, and I think that's really important. I just don't want that to slip back. So again, same kind of thing that I'm wondering about from last week. And so JV says, taking care of yourself is the firmest form of self-love. Yes. To take care of yourself and to love yourself is the most important thing you can do than to spread those to everyone you love and everyone. It's the best thing you can do. Thank you for sharing that. That is so true. It is the best form of self-love. So when we can uncouple exercise from that diet culture mentality of you just need to do it to punish yourself because you ate cake, or that you need to exercise because that's what's expected of from other people, when you can actually separate those things and get excited about it and realize that it is, as JV said, this form of self-love, that is so important. Hi, Sammy. Sammy Superstar. I like your new name, by the way. I think that's great and it fits you really well. So, okay, we've talked a little bit about the good. So now let's hop into the bad. So one of the bads I kind of already gave away, which is that I got out my ruler. I will show you. I actually took this ruler and I started measuring my gray, and I actually am on track. So in my research, turns out that when you let your roots die out, or your hair growth works out to about 1/2 inch a month. And it's been 6 months and I'm at about 3 inches of gray hair growth. But when I took the look at the rest, I kind of, went to the rest. This is about 12 inches left of growth. That's 2 years. And that feels like a really long time. I know that I can cut my hair. I do know that. But I do like having some length. So we'll see. This is a process. Who knows what I'm going to be saying 6 months from now or a year from now. We'll find out, I guess. All right. And I see JV, when you realize there are things that need to be changed, you must always remember to do the darn thing and keep showing up. I agree. Do the darn thing, even when it's hard, especially when it's good for you and when it's honoring your body. And it's also good, not just for your body, but for your mental health, your well-being, and how you show up in the world. All of those are very important. And thank you for the compliment on my hair. So the 2 years, that's kind of rough. And then the other thing that's a bit of a challenge is, so if you've ever known me before, or maybe some of you have not known me long, but I pretty much wore my hair straight for my entire life up until recently. Now, a few years ago, I learned how to curl it with heat, whether that was a curling wand or with a straightener. But when I started to learn just how much damage that can do, and I really wanted to treat my hair well, I tried to stop using heat, but I started learning that my hair could actually hold a curl. And I started experimenting with it, which is what you're seeing now. Is me using a little bit of product and scrunching my hair and letting it air dry. And the problem is I don't always know how to tame it. And I don't want to do this every day. It takes a bit more time. And anyway, my routine is kind of wonky. So if anyone has advice out there of how to deal with day 2 and 3 curl hair without washing it, please let me know. Because right now I'm just strategically hiding the giant mess in the back of my head. All right. The other thing is that's in the bad category that's related to food is that I have noticed a few signs from my body that there are some foods it doesn't love. For example, the other night it was like a kind of a pad thai like bowl, and it had some peanut sauce and rice noodles and broccoli and cabbage and chicken. It was this nice bowl. It tasted great. But I noticed that my heart rate was kind of raised after it, which I know is a sign that your body's having some sort of reaction and it's worth paying attention to. I've also noticed a few changes in my skin, and I know that that can be a reaction from foods. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do I start exploring maybe some things that are not playing well with my body without going back into that restriction, which I know causes, for me personally, that whiplash effect. As soon as I start restricting something, I start to feel this real pull towards the thing that I'm not supposed to have in an unhealthy way. So that is right now one of my challenges, is going to be, how do I do this, like explore maybe what foods aren't so great. Now, I do believe that your body is intelligent and that it gives you hints about what foods you like and what foods you don't like. And I've noticed that even sometimes with eggs, like sometimes I'm good with them and other times my body just says, you don't want eggs right now. And I can tap into that intelligence and what my body's telling me. So I see a comment here, food sensitivities, easy to pick off the allergies, but sensitivities can be important to figure out. Yeah, so I don't have any specific allergies, but I know that there are certain things that my body does not love. And so how do I parse that out? And I think I just need to pay closer attention to when I have a slight aversion or if I notice any trends, just to be curious. And the other thing with the sensitivity, I guess I'm just working this out as I'm going live here, is that I don't actually have to cut it out 100%. I can also just start to reduce it. So therefore, it's not 100% restricted. It's still sort of on the table, so to speak. But then maybe I'm just saying, let's just do that less often. So it's still an option. So maybe that'll help. Just coming up with that on the fly. All right. So that is something in the bad category. So now the ugly. I want to tell you the story about last Saturday because it was kind of not pleasant after the first trip. So as I said, I went shopping on Saturday because I wanted to honor my body where it is right now and honor the fact that I'm going through this process and it's changing. And I'm okay with that. However, after my first successful trip, which the first store, I found a couple pairs of jeans. I really like them. I feel good in them. That's a win. But the rest of the shopping experience was a downer. And I will say that I just don't love the process of trying on clothes anyway. I've never been a huge fan of doing that. I know some people love it. They could spend hours there. I should clarify and say I like buying new things. I like owning new things. I get excited about new things. That is 100% true. But my tolerance for actually shopping and clothes shopping is very low. But it's even worse when you're feeling not the greatest about how things are going. So I'm fully embracing what I'm doing and I stand behind it. But I don't love going on and trying on clothes, especially when you're kind of in between sizes or when you try on something and it just feels awful. And that's what I experienced. And so I had a near kind of meltdown in one of the change rooms where I just almost wanted to cry. I was pretty close to crying. And I just thought, okay, I need to stop this now. I will stop my excursion. If the only thing I get today are a couple pairs of jeans, that's okay, because that's a win. But you need to step away from the changing room. And that is what I did. Now, another lesson that I could take away from that is I was a little hangry by that time. So I hadn't eaten enough, I don't think, close to it. And so I was starting to get hungry and I was starting to get cranky. And that's not a good place to be. So I need to make sure that I am mentally prepared and physically prepared when I go and do that, because it's challenging. It's not fun. Let me know in the comments, are you a fan of trying on clothes in the change room and trying out, like, do you like clothes shopping? Or is it more of a thing you just have to do? I'm curious. I see here, what's comments here? There are methods that you can use to figure out what works. Yes, there are. And this is why I embrace services like Stitch Fix. Allows me to try new things that I never would have thought of. Oh, big or small. That's a great idea. I don't know. So I'm in Canada. I don't know if I'm sure we have delivery services. I don't know if we have a Stitch Fix. So that is a good thing to figure out. Now I also try not to get tempted to buy too many things. And my concern, which could just be a limiting belief of mine, is that I'll get excited about a bunch of things and maybe buy more than I actually need. However, I like the idea of people who this is their job to figure out what it is that might be good for you, and then you can actually enjoy that. So thank you for that advice. And it's something I can definitely take into approach. And something that someone shared last week, I can't remember who said it, but they commented on the sustainability piece. That's really been sticking with me, is that I want to make sure that I have a high quality piece that I can wear over and over. And that I like a classic look. I don't actually like much in the way of patterns. I don't have too many things that have logos or words on them. So I tend to be a solid pattern, which is great for sustainability and for making sure that I'm not just kind of going through things really quickly. And I have made mistakes in the past where when I'm in this kind of bad mood or bad headspace, I just kind of want to get in and get out of there. And sometimes I have made purchases that I come to regret or they're just not good quality. So that's another thing that's really left with me. And I wish I had credit to give to whomever it was who mentioned that last week. And JV saying, frock box, Stitch Fix, but Canada based. Thank you. I will look into that. I wasn't planning on talking about this today, but something that Phil and I have been talking about is giving a try to a meal service. And we would prepare it, but the meals come all set out for you. And I actually enjoy cooking, and I have gotten so much better at it over the years. But because both of us are pretty busy right now and we're sort of maxed out, there are some evenings during the week where we just don't want to have to think about it. We want someone else to make the decision for us. So let me know in the comments if you've ever used a meal delivery service and what you thought of it. Now in Canada, the big names are HelloFresh, Chef's Plate, and Good Food. And then I think some places have local ones. There's another one I just found out about yesterday where they're actually pre-made. So you just heat them up. You don't actually have to do any of the prep. And I'm okay with a little prep. The main thing is I want the decision done. And sometimes it's nice when someone else just says, here's your meal. And if it tastes great and all we have to do is put it together, I can be down for that. So I'm curious if any of you guys have done that before. And I see Home Chef. Is that that's probably, is it US based? I imagine. Let me know if you happen to know if they're in Canada as well. So I was on YouTube last night and I was watching a few different videos on people showing how it arrives, what it looks like, kind of what they thought of the different boxes. And of course, people had different favorites. So maybe we'll try a few. But right now, because of the season we're in, where that we can just be tired with the amount of work that we're doing, it's really nice to know that there might be an option. So that is something that is on the table. Pun was not originally intended, but once it came out, I kind of loved it. Okay, US based, looking for Canadian versions. Yeah, and so after I was doing some research, of course, I have noticed that now all of my sponsored ads are from the companies. So maybe they will find me, the ones that I have never heard of, because as of right now, I am getting ads from the pages that I looked at, and I'm sure there are more to come. It's smart, but it's creepy. Also, this is not related. Have any of you watched The Social Dilemma? Because I watched that on Monday, and definitely a lot. I'd love to hear your opinions. I mean, a lot of the stuff that was shared there, I already knew about, but there were some new things that got me thinking. So I think there was a lot of insight in the documentary. I personally have a few things that I would change about it if I were in charge around some of the dramatizations. However, if you have not watched it and you're thinking about it, there are some really powerful things that we should be thinking about when it comes to how we use social media. All right, so I see a few other ones: Cook It, Good Food, and the two that I mentioned. So I have never heard of Cook It, so I'm glad that you mentioned that one. And anyone else who's watching the replay, let me know in the comments if there's something that you recommend or that you've tried before that you've liked, or anything else that you have to say on the matter of giving those food delivery services a try. The other thing that when it comes to what I'm doing, which is not dieting, is I noticed that one of the meal delivery services just focuses on sort of that diet mentality, which for a person where that's what they want, I think that can be a good tool. But I definitely kind of turned me off of that service because when I looked through all the packages, they all were specific to, say, weight loss or performance or whatnot. And I was like, what about just people who want, a well-balanced meal with whole foods that's delicious, and they're not counting calories and they're not counting their macros, and they just want to enjoy it. So that's something that I am paying attention to when I'm doing my research for this because of where I happen to be. So there's no judgment for anyone else who is looking for that kind of thing. All right, so I think, that's the only ugly thing that I wanted to share this week was my practical meltdown. But I feel like I am in a pretty good place, and it was really helpful for me. A lesson that I learned was last week as I was talking about my challenge, I was able to identify a next step that I could take, which for me last week was identifying that I should go shopping. So I did that the next day. And so now I can see that I have a few more takeaways that I'm going to embrace moving forward, and then I can circle back and tell you about them next week. But I want to thank those of you who were able to join me today, and I really appreciate the comments. And yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic Friday and rest of the week, and I will be back here again next Friday to do another little check-in and see the good, the bad, and the ugly and what is happening this week. So until then, goodbye.